The concluding chapter of the Hunger Games series. Now before I begin this review, I just want to quickly let you know that I'm still accepting BCG fan art for BCG Disney Week. Just send your completed drawings to TonyCarbon213@gmail.com, my email, and they will be included in a video that will be a part of BCG Disney Week. Okay, good? Let's get to the review. Hey guys, the Black Critic Guy, and I'm here today to review the film The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. Now of course this film begins where Part 1 left off. They rescued Peeta, but he was brainwashed by the Capitol to kill Katniss, and he attempts to kill Katniss but fails, and he gets strapped to this bed. He's just like, I gotta kill Katniss, and war is still raging on. And finally, all 13 districts have united and are planning an assault on the Capitol to finally end their tyranny once and for all. And Katniss wants to be a part of this assault, but President Coin is like, nah, you've done your part, you are our symbol, let us now handle it, and you can come later when we finally capture Snow and you can kill him. But she's like, no, I don't want to sit on the sidelines, so she sneaks into the battle, accompanied with Gale, Peeta, Finnick, and a team of trained soldiers. They infiltrate the Capitol to head to Snow and kill the guy. Now, I didn't get a chance to review Mockingjay Part 1 when it first came out, but to be honest, there wasn't really much to say about the film. It was just all build-up and no payoff whatsoever. You were gonna get the payoff a year later with Mockingjay Part 2, and that's just really upsetting, as this would have been an epic masterpiece if they just made this into one whole film. They could have explored the characters a lot in the beginning and then give us the payoff at the end, but instead they decided to split it into two parts with all that build-up and character development in the first half, and then all the action and all of the payoff in the last half, and that's just not acceptable to me. You could have made just an excellent film altogether, but that's really just nitpicking. The first one is just a really forgettable experience. Really some good moments, but that's about it. That film was honestly just filler for the epicness that would be Part 2. And I gotta tell you, I loved this movie. In fact, I think it's one of the best conclusions I've ever seen to a franchise. Like, it just resolved so many things and it left me completely satisfied as a fan of this franchise. Once again, the film's cinematography was excellent, on freaking point, recapturing the same aesthetic that I loved from the second film. There's just so many great shots in this film, some of which actually pay homage to the first film. Not only was the cinematography on point, but the score was as well. It was both epic and beautiful at the same time. There's this one piece to the score that kind of plays during sentimental moments between characters and at the end of the film that I absolutely adore. It's one of the best themes I've heard in a movie all year, and honestly I just want to find it, download it so I can listen to it over and over again. It's such a lovely piece. Now, most people's major complaint with the first part of Mockingjay was that there wasn't enough action, and they're right, there wasn't a lot of action in the film. Sure, there were some small set pieces here and there, but nothing really grand or even memorable. It was all just build up to what will later be the intense action that we see in Part 2. And in my personal opinion, they kind of delivered with the action in this film. It's not as grand as I wanted it to be. I actually wanted to see a full-on war being taken place. It's more or less, again, told through Katniss's perspective, but the action sequences that they give us in this film are so well done, guys. Especially this one action sequence in the sewers. My God, I was on the edge of my seat. It had great build-up, it was eerie, and freaking intense. Like, I honestly was fearing for the character's life. I didn't even know if they were gonna make it out of there. I mean, they're in an enclosed space with enemies coming from every single direction, these monstrous beings, and Katniss like flinging her arrows, exploding all over the place, people like shooting the monsters up, and countless upon countless of deaths that just made it kind of tragic. But that action sequence was the best action sequence I've seen in this franchise so far, it's fantastic. The story to me was still compelling as hell, as I was fully invested into what was going on, and I loved the idea of the Capitol incorporating the traps that they would use in the Hunger Games to fight against the rebels. I thought that was an ingenious plan and actually made for some of the more intense moments throughout the story. And there are some great dialogue moments among the characters that really focuses on building a rapport among them and actually getting some insight as to what they're thinking and how they're feeling. Not to mention the many emotional, heart-wrenching moments in the story that just hit you right here and tear you apart, particularly near the end of the film. Like, I felt the sorrow of the character. It felt so real and heavy. Basically, the film had solid writing. And finally, the characters. They're all still solid, but the two that really shine in this film, and I'm glad that they did, was Katniss and Peeta. My goodness, they are phenomenal in this film, and it's all attributed to the performances given by Jennifer Lawrence and Josh Hutcherson. They completely outshine every single person in this film, but I mean, come on, they do get the most focus in the film, and this is kind of told through Katniss's perspective. Seeing Katniss in this film and all the things that she does and deals with throughout reminded me of the main reason as to why I love Jennifer Lawrence. It's not because of how pretty she is, or how cute she is, or how relatable she is, or how down to earth she is as a person. It's because of how phenomenal she is as an actress, bringing her character to life and putting 150% in each of the roles that she does. And she just shines in this movie as Katniss, particularly near the end. Like, there's a scene where she doesn't really show much emotion, but you can tell just from her facial expressions alone what's going through her mind, how she's truly feeling. And then she breaks down near the end of the film. It's just so tragic, and I actually just felt the weight of the scene because of how great Jennifer Lawrence did in bringing this performance to life. Not to undermine Josh Hutcherson though, he was outstanding in the film as well, almost at the same level as Jennifer Lawrence performance-wise. He just knocked it right out of the park, and Peeta has always been my favorite character, and I love Josh Hutcherson's portrayal of the character. I can't see anybody else playing Peeta. And he does an amazing job at displaying the emotional struggle and turmoil that the character deals with throughout the film. Great job, Jennifer Lawrence and Josh Hutcherson. Gale was pretty serviceable in the film. He's always been my least favorite character in the entire Hunger Games series, so I really didn't care much for him, but he was serviceable. He did his job pretty well. Finnick was pretty cool in the film as well, and he had a really cool fight scene. And then the team that accompanies Katniss, they're all pretty cool. I wish we could have learned more about them, but for what they needed to do, they were good. And lastly, the best part of this film, which was simultaneously my favorite part of this film, was the final 20 minutes. They were perfect. Every single moment. I wouldn't change a damn thing about this ending. Not only was there so much emotion, not only was there so much resolution, but it gave me the ending that I really wanted to see from the series. It gave me closure, and I was just happy at how it concluded. Now, though I love the film, I did find a few issues with it. The biggest one being is that the pacing was still very slow in the film, carrying on from the first part of Mockingjay. I thought it would be more fast-paced and get to the scenes that we wanted to see, but there were still some of these slow moments that dragged on for way too long, and I'm just like, okay, we get it, we can move on now, let's just go to the next scene, let's get to the action. Because this film mainly focused on the payoff, because the first one focused on the build-up, there were many characters that were barely seen in this final film. Like Effie Trinket. She makes 1 or 2 appearances in the film total. I even forgot that she was in the film. Like, oh look, there's Effie. Where the hell have you been? Yeah, she makes a lot of appearances in Mockingjay Part 1, but I wanted to see her in Mockingjay Part 2. Haymitch too, he was barely in the film. He shows up now and again, and does play a crucial part near the end, but you don't really see him that much. Jeffrey Wright's character is barely in it. Philip Seymour Hoffman's character Although he tragically passed away, I would have loved to see his character more as they finished most of his scenes for part 2. And he did fantastically, by the way. It was just so good to see Philip Seymour Hoffman in the film. Like, I really missed that guy. And the last issue I found with this film could possibly be seen as a nitpick, as from what Lainey told me, the girl that went with me to see this film, she said that the way that it happens in the movie is the same way that it happened in the book. So honestly, they're remaining faithful to the source material. But for me, I felt like it just wasn't satisfying. There is a death that happens in this film that felt so abrupt and so rushed and so out of left field that I never really felt the weight of the character's death. Like, it just happened like that and then it was over. I'm like, well, it felt like it cheapened that character. It cheapened that moment. And I felt like there should have been just more weight to this character's death, and there just wasn't. It just happened like that. But honestly, you could also just tie that into the fact that, you know, in war, no one gets like this big heroic death. They can just like die in an instant and that happens. So kind of ties into the realism. And, you know, I love the message throughout the film, how evil war is and everybody suffers from it. Not just one side, everybody does. Great theme throughout the film. But again, I felt like with this character, there should have just been more weight to their death, and it just never came off as that. Overall, The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2 is a great film and a satisfying conclusion to the series. I loved how it ended. I loved the film. I really enjoyed it, and if you're a fan of The Hunger Games, you have no excuse not to see it. It is a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's one hell of a film. But anyway, what did you guys think of this film? Did you love and enjoyed it as much as I did? Or did you find it really underwhelming and disappointing? And let me know, what is your favorite Hunger Games film in the series? Comment below and let me know, and stay tuned. Only 2 more days until BCG Disney Week is upon us, and I cannot wait for you guys to see all the incredible videos I got lined up for you. You're gonna love them all. And yes, I know Jessica Jones just dropped today, and I was planning to watch and review it, but again, Disney Week took up most of my time, so I'll probably review that when Disney Week ends. So next Sunday, I probably will review Jessica Jones, and I have one more movie review before Disney Week, and that is the night before. So stay tuned for all those, and until then, guys, if you would love to see more videos on this channel, be a part of the Black Critic crew, please hit that subscribe button below, like this video if you really enjoyed it, and I'm telling you what, in a second, the Mockingjay known as the Black Critic Guy. Till then, peace, YouTube.